Yes, everybody, welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com, or, of course, if you are watching on our fast-growing YouTube channel, that is Tar Heel Illustrated. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner, and joining me, as he always does, our very own publisher, Andrew Jones. And AJ just got done watching the ACC football schedule reveal show on the ACC Network. Obviously got Carolina's official schedule dates, all that officially set for the whole ACC, but obviously for North Carolina, which is what we're here to talk about, as you can probably tell by the title. And it's probably the reason you clicked on this video in the first place. So a lot to discuss. You know, got some games on here that I think are going to be some tough ones for the Tar Heels. Got some games on here that I think are very winnable for the Tar Heels too. And we'll obviously dive in to that a little bit as well. Before we dive into it, I'm going to go ahead and just real quickly, I'll pop an image on screen as well so people can see the schedule, run through exactly what the schedule is for the Tar Heels, and then we'll obviously dive into it a little bit after that. So August 27th, starting out the year against Florida A&M in Chapel Hill. September 3rd at Appalachian State, followed by a September 10th matchup at Georgia State. Tar Heels obviously played Georgia State in Chapel Hill last year. September 17th is an open date for the Tar Heels, and that's followed up by a September 24th matchup with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in Chapel Hill. That's followed up by a Virginia Tech matchup on October 1st in Kenan Stadium. And then the Tar Heels go to Miami and to Duke in back-to-back weekends, followed by another open date, second of the year on October 22nd. Final 5 games of the year. Pittsburgh at home on October 29th, November 5th at Virginia, followed by a at Wake Forest matchup on November 12th. The Heels wrapping up the season with a game in Chapel Hill, 2 home games against Georgia Tech, and then a Friday matchup on November 25th, familiar date for this game, against the NC State Wolfpack. So, AJ, before we dive into a little bit more, ins and outs of the schedule, maybe some tough stretches to look at after kind of watching the show, seeing, what this schedule ended up being and how it ended up shaping out. What are your kind of initial thoughts of Carolina's 2022 football schedule?
Well, we knew the opponents and knew where the games would be played for a while. It was just a matter of knowing the order. And I think the order is kind of interesting. I thought maybe that they would get a conference game before Notre Dame, because I know most coaches I've talked to over the years, they don't want to have too early an open date, because once you threw that open date, they think, well, okay, then you got to kind of grind it out the rest of the way. But because Carolina has an early game, the Florida A&M game technically is, they call it week 0, because week 1 is September 3rd, Saturday, September 3rd, that whole weekend. So the Tar Heels will get a leg up on everybody. So they actually have 2 open dates. So this works out okay, with the exception of the fact that, again, a lot of coaches, they don't like having a huge game, especially at home, and have an open date before it. They'd rather be in routine going into that game, because there can be too much hype. And given that the Tar Heels open up with Florida A&M, then they go to App State. And I know what happened a couple of years ago in App State with the Chapel Hill, but North Carolina should, in year 4 of Mac Brown, go to Boone and win that game.
Yeah.
And then they play Georgia State. They can be 3-0. And so 4 weeks into the season for them, they'll be unbeaten, even though it would just be against those teams. And Notre Dame coming in, that's a lot of buzz going around Kenan, going around Chapel Hill. I think it'd be good for the program in some respects, but coaches would rather just be in routine and play that game. So it's open before Dame. I guess if they would have had to play a conference game, and I'm sure the league was looking at ways to make it happen, they didn't want to have Virginia Tech go in there that soon. State wasn't going to go in there that soon. And so I was told originally that maybe Carolina could go to Duke, get that game out of the way in mid-September, and that would have been 3 straight road games for the Tar Heels. That would not have been ideal either. So open date before Notre Dame, that pops out. And also, after they play Florida A&M, between then and November 19th, the span of 82 days, they only have 3 home games, which it's one, I don't do the math, one every 26 days. Is that what that is? 27 days? One every 27 days. So basically once a month, have a home game. That's not much. And then after they play Virginia Tech on October 1st, which, by the way, after they play Notre Dame, the rest of the schedule is all conference games between October 1st and November 19th, which is a span of 49 days. They only play 1 home game. So there's a lot of road games in the middle. and a couple of open dates in that stretch too. So the Tar Heels won't be at home a lot, but they get to close up at home. So if they're competing for something at the end of the year, if they're competing for the division title, they get to play Georgia Tech and NC State at home. So I know that Mac and a lot of coaches would like to go away from playing that FCS game the week before your rivalry game. I call it an SEC special because that's what they do in that league. I think it's terrible to make people pay regular prices for a game like that the week before Thanksgiving. They get Georgia Tech, and this is going to be a make or break season for Jeff Collins at Georgia Tech probably. So given where Tech has been the last few years, that might be a very winnable game for the Tar Heels the week before NC State, but it's also a conference game. So it'll be a better challenge for them. And I think that'd be better going into the finale, playing a game like that. And of course, NC State, Jacob, is on a Friday. I think that's the new tradition. I'm okay with it. I don't know what basketball's doing at that time, so we'll have to figure out who covers what.
There'll be some kind of stuff.
It's the overlap, man. The overlaps, I love it, but it's a grind and a half. But I think it's cool. I like Carolina and State playing the day after Thanksgiving. Let's make it a regular thing. And so those are the things that jump out at me. I think it's a very manageable schedule. But I also thought last year's schedule was very manageable, and the team ended up 6-6 in the regular season, 3-5 in a bad ACC. So for North Carolina, having a chance to win some road games early, something that hasn't done in a while. I guess we can say they haven't won a road game in how long now? We'll have to look up the exact numbers on that one, but it's been a while. Yeah. So they get a chance to get 2 wins out of the gate on the road if they can win at App, which will be a tough game regardless.
It'll be a challenge. Yeah.
And close at home. So I like the schedule. It's not a wow schedule, but they do have Notre Dame, and I think 2 open dates. They're in the course of the schedule after week 3, and then they have an open date. I think it's October 22nd, like a month later. So that's kind of good. So they'll get those little breaks during the year and get a chance to heal some stuff, which is pretty good. So all in all, not a bad schedule.
No. I don't think so. I think like you said, there is some challenges. I want to ask you about a couple stretches that kind of stand out to me from looking at the schedule. I think like you said, you open up with Florida A&M at home. You expect to win that. Appalachian State at Georgia State. I know Appalachian State's going to be a tough game, but year 4 of Mac Brown, like you said, it's games that Carolina should be winning, especially when you look at the talent that's returning and Gene Chizik coming in on the defensive side, the recruiting classes coming in. You expect Carolina to have enough to go up there and win those games against App State and at Georgia State. But there's a tough stretch after that, I think, that we can talk about real quick. So I think it starts after the bye week. It is nice that Carolina does have that open week ahead of Notre Dame. I think it's a big advantage for them. But you got Notre Dame on September 24th in Chapel Hill, followed by Virginia Tech on October 1st, which is always a tough game for the Tar Heels. We saw it in Blacksburg last year. That is always a good matchup. New coach for the Hokies as well. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of lease of life this year's Virginia Tech team has and what kind of record they can put together, followed by at Miami the following week on October 8th. So that to me is one of the stretches during the schedule that kind of stands out. You can even throw, I don't think Duke's going to be great this year, new coach and what they've been struggling in the past, but you got to go to at Duke after that on October 15th, which is always a little bit of a challenge. It's a rivalry game. So, things can go out the window and things can happen. Another stretch in there that kind of stands out follows that Duke game. There is another open date for the Tar Heels. You welcome home the ACC champs in Pittsburgh. And then you've got at Virginia and at Wake Forest followed by that. So that October 29th to November 12th slate right there, I think is another tough slate with 2 tough road games. Virginia, a place that Carolina has, historically struggled at in the past. And obviously at Wake Forest, a team that Carolina has been able to beat in previous years, obviously lost during Mac Brown's first year, but Wake Forest had a good season. Sam Hartman returning as well. Got a little bit of a program over there, if you will. So I think those are the 2 stretches in the season that kind of stand out. Would you agree that those are kind of the key stretches during the season that can present Carolina some challenges?
Neither are daunting, but both have their challenges. I think when you think about Notre Dame will be top 15 to start the year, I would imagine, and they have a new coach, so there'll be a lot of new things there. So I guess if you're going to get the Irish, get them early before they figure some stuff out. Then Virginia Tech at home, another new situation. So if you're going to get the Hokies, maybe get them early and then go down to Miami. They have remember the storyline a few years ago with all these new coaches? Well, they've got new coaches in their fourth, fifth, and sixth game. Well, then Duke in their seventh game. So they got 4 straight weeks with new coaches. But by the time you get to Miami or even Virginia Tech on October 1st, you have a pretty good idea of what the staff is doing, what their philosophies are, and everything else. So I kind of think the Pitt at home, at Virginia, at Wake stretch is tougher than Notre Dame at home, Virginia Tech at home, and at Miami. And that's because there's a lot of unknown with Virginia Tech and Miami. But Wake is going to start the year top 10. And Pitt's coming off an ACC division title. I know Kenny Pickett's not there. I know they lost a few other guys, lost some linemen and stuff, but Narduzzi's got a nice program. Pitt hasn't stunk in a while.
Carolina struggled against them too, yeah.
And Carolina has struggled. And I also think it's very interesting. Quick little sidebar. First time at Georgia Tech and Pitt will have been in Keene Stadium in 4 years. Because in 2020 they were supposed to come, but then COVID hit and they had to tear up the schedule and redo one, and neither one of them came to Chapel Hill. So both of them coming to Chapel Hill for the first time in 4 years. And then going to UVA, like you said, it's always been tough. No matter what UVA is, that's a tough game for Carolina. Tar Heels have only won there a few times in the last 40 years or so. Yeah, and then you go to Wake. I think Wake's going to be really good. I think Wake and State are going to be really good. The Atlantic Division is going to be tough. I think BC is going to be good. I think Clemson's going to be at the minimum what they were this past year, and they won 10 games. I think that division is going to be really good. I think the Coastal is going to be more of the same. It's going to be up in the air. People think, well, maybe this is Miami's year, but we've been saying that since Miami joined the league. And they haven't won they won the Coastal once, I guess. So I think the second stretch, and it gives Carolina time for Chiswick's defense to fully take form. It gives the quarterback, whether it's Drake May or Criswell, gives them plenty of time to know who they are. The Tar Heels, by the time they hit November, should have every idea who they are. They will have had 2 open dates to fix some warts and go into that stretch of Pitt, at UVA, at Wake, raring to go. That's 5 conference games to close out that last month and throw in Georgia Tech at home and then home against NC State. Those are some really quality opponents there, and that will determine the Tar Heel season, provided they set that last month up properly with how they handle the first 2 months.
Definitely. Yeah, I think like you said, I mean, I think looking at it, and obviously it's still a long way away from August 27th when the season opens up. But overall, looking at the schedule, is it pretty – I know last year we said it was pretty favorable too, and it ends up finishing 6-6. But looking at it with some of the home games, with some of the places Carolina has to go, relatively favorable schedule for the Tar Heels if this team is what we expected it can be going into the season.
9 of their 12 games are in the state of North Carolina. One is at Charlottesville, 2.5 hours away, 3 hours away.
Yep.
One is in Atlanta, 5.5, 6 hours away. The only trip that's further than a 6-hour drive from Chapel Hill is at Miami, and it's an hour and 20-minute flight. And you can get a lot of directs to Miami. It's the easiest trip. That and BC are my easiest trips. I usually get one way, get direct flights to Miami and to Boston College, to Boston. So up to Logan Airport. So this is an easy travel schedule. It's not like they have to go into a bunch of different time zones and go into all these strange places. Boone will be interesting. And another thing, too, I didn't realize, and shame on me, I've been in full basketball mode here for a while, but the FAMU game, the Florida A&M game, is actually before a lot of other schools get going. It's an early start to the season. And it's brilliant that Carolina is doing that because they're getting a game under their belt with a new quarterback and a lot of new stuff. So they have that game before they go to App the next week. If this team were opening the season at App State, a challenging game, a dangerous game would be even more so. But they get that game under their belt. They get to figure some things out. They get to clean up. There's always stuff you got to clean up from an opener.
Oh, yeah.
That's why a lot of times when you have these openers where really good teams play each other, it's kind of tough because, if one team kind of hasn't shored up certain areas, which is very difficult to do in August when you're not playing anybody but yourself, which, by the way, I'd like to see that change. I think the NCAA will allow an FCS team to come in and scrimmage, an FBS team in August. And, don't put it on TV. Don't charge any money. Just bring them in, get a bunch of guys some work, and do something to get somebody else in a game-like situation so they can fix a lot of the junk that ends up making for what I think could be an ugly opening weekend for a lot of teams and a lot of games. So they get that chance before they go to App. I think that's good. So this is not a daunting schedule. It's a very manageable schedule for what North Carolina should be in year 4 of Mac Brown. And off the top of my head, I think year 4 of Mac Brown, given what the expectations are justifiably are, I think 9 wins is something that Carolina fans should be comfortable expecting. That would be a +3 from last year. But I think last year, even though Mac said that they were perhaps overrated and they thought of too highly before the season started, I don't think 6 wins was the kind of season that talent should have produced. They should have been a little bit better. So if it would have been 7 or 8 wins, 9 wouldn't be a significant upgrade. So we'll do more when we get close to the season, obviously, about what we think the record's going to be. But people want to know that kind of stuff even here on January 31st. But I think it's a manageable schedule. I think a program that is recruited the way this one has and has the kind of assistant coaches on the staff that this one has and has the head coach that this one has and has projected itself the way the program has, I think that they should be able to take care of this schedule fairly comfortably for the most part.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, we'll have a lot more analysis of the schedule, obviously, and of the Carolina football team, obviously, as we get a little bit closer to spring practice and into the season starting in late August. So yeah, just the immediate reactions, I guess, is what we'll call this video.
Yeah, sure.
Of Carolina's football schedule. It was just released, like I said a little bit earlier, on Monday night. I believe the show started at 7 on the ACC Network. Took about an hour to run through it. Went through all the teams in the ACC and went through their schedules as well. So yeah, good place to wrap this one up, AJ. I don't want to go too long on this. Like I said, we'll dive into this a lot more as we get a little bit closer to football season. But yeah, I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. Make sure you guys keep it locked to TarHeelIllustrated.com. I know AJ has put a piece out on the schedule, which you can find on our website. Click the link in the description below. You can head right on over there. And if you're thinking about becoming a premium member, premium subscriber, want access to premium content, our premium message boards as well, sign up, just $8.33 a month. Great time to do it in the thick of basketball season. Games are really coming thick and fast in basketball season. Recruiting's in full swing. Just had a ton of football, junior day visitors at football at the NC State game. So I know Dean is on fire with the recruitment. It's big time.
And we have a pre-Duke Zoom with our subscribers Thursday night, but you have to be a subscriber to be involved.
Got to.
I'm telling you guys. Might be some goodies in that Zoom.
Heck yeah, man. You're not lying. Make sure you sign up. Like I said, $8.33 a month. And you get the perks of talking to us on Zoom. I mean, what else would you want to do on a Thursday night, right?
What a perk, huh? Don't spoil it.
I know, right? What else would you want to do on a Thursday night? I'm telling you guys. Sign up, just $8.33 a month. I mean, I think it's a good price for all the work we put in. So like I said, head on over to TarHeelIllustrated.com as soon as this video is over. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell as well so you know every single time we upload. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.